Hey YouTube, in this deck profile I'm going to be doing an update on my Himiko Genesis build. So this one, I like to call this one my Turbo Genesis deck, because this one basically is all about trying to beat the opponent down really quick as opposed to trying to go into late game. So it really depends on a whole lot of luck for you to be able to do that with this deck. For those that watched my previous Himiko deck, it was very consistent. I'm considering doing an Artemis one in the future, so that's one I haven't actually featured yet now I think about it. Just like my Ergodial deck, but that would require me in my end of stage. So there's 3 decks that I have that I may post maybe sometime around when the Claret Sword stuff is out, but we'll see. I might change it up just for variety. But anyway, this one is very luck dependent, because if you don't draw, you get to ride Himiko first, then the deck kind of will fall apart. Also depends on a certain grade 2 ride. If you don't get that one, then the deck is also kind of screwed at that point. But anyway, let's get right into it. For Oracle Queen Himiko, so this is your main win condition Vanguard. This is the one that you want to be in the Vanguard circle at all times, and without it, you will not be able to generate force markers, and you'll have a really bad time actually trying to win. So for Himiko, like I said, it's a turbo build, so we're going all out. So I opt to run grade 3s that don't have the force marker. Now you could run what is it, Perseus, the guy from the trial deck, the Genesis trial deck, that I was running previously along with Iwanaga Hime, but I took both of them out and opted to run Goddess of the Milky Way because she does help you set up. If you have to ride her as a grade 3, as the first grade 3, you won't get the force circle, but you will get to set up and potentially get this on the top of the deck for you to be able to get it into your hand for the next turn. So it does help you fix that, but usually you want to use this as a rear guard. You don't really want to use this as a Vanguard because it doesn't have the force marker. And the only other grade 3 I'm running is one Spiritualist Sorcerer Crow. So this guy also does not have the force circle, but when placed on Vanguard or rear guard, you get to soul charge 1 for each of your units, including this unit. So helps you stack random stuff in the soul, so you don't have to worry too much about the Soul Blast cost for Himiko, for instance, and it could potentially also put a critical or a draw in there when you use this effect, because it's just going to soul charge a bunch of cards. So that's the grade 3 lineup. For grade 2s, here we go. This is what makes the deck turbo, but it's also very luck dependent, because you got to ride this as your turn 2 ride. If you don't get to ride this as your turn 2, then this becomes a vanilla that has no effect for the rest of the match. Now, honestly, a lot of people think this card's amazing. It is good, but I feel like a lot of what people say about it is kind of overrated, because it's really good in the sense that it allows you to go Force 2, which is what you want to do with this deck. So this build is a Force 2 build as opposed to a Force 1 build. But even if you weren't running this and you were running a more standardized Himiko deck, you could still go Force 2 with Himiko and it would still work really well. Mainly because Himiko's skill would already power up your columns, so you wouldn't need to worry too much about generating high numbers. But if you did go Force 1 and you used her effect on the critical trigger, then you do get really high numbers. So, but you know, sometimes the opponent could just no guard one of them, and then things could fall apart from there. So anyway, for Mutsuki, because she, like, if you ride this, you get Gift 2, Force 2 really early. And that also does mitigate the negative effect of having to ride one of these, like if you didn't have Himiko. So as long as you rode this, you still have the Force 2 pressure, but you just wouldn't get your second Force until you ride Himiko, if you had to ride one of those. So it does help mitigate the inconsistency of running grade 3s that don't have Force, but if you don't ride this, then you're going to be in trouble. So for the other grade 2s, I'm running 4 Ulysses or Lixie's Strongbow, the Starry Knight, because this guy is still really good in any Himiko build. It's also really good in the Artemis build as well. So we still run 4 copies of it. And then next, I've borrowed a card from my Valkyrion deck. So this guy, at first I thought, do I really need to run this? And then I realized I do kind of need it in here, because just like the Goddess of the Milky Way, this card allows you to check the top 2 when placed, to dig through the deck to set up for either like triggers on the top of the deck, put triggers that you may need into the soul, like if you needed them, and then put stuff like this on the top of the deck so you can get to ensure that you can get this on the following turn. So it just helps with a lot of consistency of the deck. So that's why we're running 4 copies of it. So same reason the way it helps the Astral Plane Genesis deck, it helps this one in consistency issues, or fixing consistency issues. Next for grade 1s, we run 4 Suadella of Loving Spices, or Auspices, or I don't really know how to say that, but anyway, 4 of this, because this works so you don't actually need to run the grade 2 that does the same effect. And it works in a different way than the grade 2. So basically, this one, when placed on Vanguard, you rest it. Then one of the Vanguards gets 10k power and reduces the next Soul Blast you pay by 2. So that is extremely good with the Force 2 gift, because the Force 2 gift will automatically give you plus critical. This basically will give your Vanguard the 10k and then reduce the next Soul Blast by 2. So that can help you reduce the cost of Himiko to a Soul Blast 3 instead of a Soul Blast 5. So all kinds of really good things. So it works really, really good. And with Mutsuki as well, giving you an Force 2 early. Yeah, it just helps with the setup. And then we run 4 Mihikari Hime because it reduces the cost of the next Soul Blast by 3. So just like this card, it's still really good because it makes it a Soul Blast 2. This makes it Soul Blast 3 and gives 10k power. But the added benefit of this is that you can still boost with this. This thing you can't boost with it anymore, for that turn at least. But we run both of them because you still need lots of ways to reduce your Soul Blast cost so you can use Himiko's effect multiple turns that game. Next, we're running 3 Witch of Cats Cumin. Just because Cumin helps you recycle either crits or draws into the soul from the drop zone, or like if you just needed that 1 extra soul to go off, you could just put anything, assuming you already had the trigger in the soul. Or you could bounce a card that allows you to redo the on-call effect. Like for instance, you could bounce a Milky Way, do it again. You could bounce this guy, do it again. You could bounce any of the Soul Blast reducers and do them again. So just really good card overall. So we run 3 of it. And then I'm running 2 Melissa. So Witch of Frogs Melissa is in here as the tech card of choice just because it helps troll the opponent's field. Yeah, so really good at 2 because reducing the Soul Blast cost is still key because that's still your winning image rather than disrupting the opponent's field. This does have a hefty Soul Blast 3 as well, so you'll usually combo it with Mihikari Hime, so that's another reason why we still run 4 of this. So it just helps complement Melissa's effect as well. But if you do have to Soul Blast 3, it's not the end of the world because you do have lots of ways now of getting cards into the soul, right? With a bunch of this engine over here that puts stuff in the soul and then soul charge and stuff like that. So, and Human can even like bounce this guy up and reuse this. So that's the grade 1s. For the grade 0s, it's 4 Kushinada, so draw Sentinels, and then 4 Kukuri Hime, and 4 Cyber Tiger. So, you know, standard 4, nothing really special here. 4 draws, Sentinels, 8 criticals, and 4 heals. So Witch of Big Pots, Laurier, and then the Artemis starter, because this is the original starter that we got for standard. So that's basically my turbo. I call it my turbo Genesis deck because it's really quick. It tries to kill the opponent quick with Force 2 early, and then making Himiko's effect go off by discounting the cost, and using these sort of cards to put criticals and stuff into the soul. You know, so that's basically it. And then random soul charge, and who knows, it might soul charge a trigger that you need to go do the effect. And then, you know, it's just really, really quick at soul charging. So hope you guys enjoyed that deck profile. It's definitely probably the most fun Genesis deck I've built in a while. I'll try to come up with more interesting deck designs, but I'm thinking the next one's probably going to be Artemis until the next wave of Genesis support, which isn't due for a while. I think it's going to be like April. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the deck profile, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks.